Mr. Raju, you can start.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. Thanks for having me on board for talking about it. First of all, let me wish all of you Merry Christmas and wishing you all Happy New Year. Of course, as I say that, let me also simultaneously give a caution to all of you, considering the kind of revival of COVID infections in the country that is being talked about. So before I start, let me just give this word of caution so that all of us keep ourselves safe. Another 20 days down the line, I think we should be able to see a lot of activity around COVID in the country, as per the scientists. And their thought is that following the sequence that COVID various strains have followed, this strain too shall follow a particular path, which will make sure that which means that it'll be here by in the next 20 to 30 days time. So kindly keep yourself masked up as you go in the public places. Follow the regular protocol of COVID protocol so that you keep yourself safe. Okay. So this is just to ensure that you're kept safe. Actually, the company that I work for, FMC Corporation, safety is one of our key, if I may call, values. So we all follow safety and we all promote safety amongst everybody. So with this, let me just come to the main topic of the day today. We're talking about supply chain of agrochemicals, right? So when we talk about supply chain of agrochemicals, we essentially are talking about feeding inputs into farmers as they grow various crops across various seasons. As you're all aware, farming is a time-sensitive activity. For example, the sowing has to happen at a particular time. The irrigation, the application of fertilizer, the application of pesticides, all of them follow a particular timeline trend. And there are very short windows. Unlike regular FMCG products, which are consumed over a long period of time, here the consumption windows are rather limited. Now, if I talk about either fertilizer or, for that matter, agrochemicals, which is pesticides, the windows are still more sharper. For example, if in the wheat crop, weed has to be controlled, we know for sure that immediate on the 21st day, after the 21st day, after the wheat crop is sown, the germination begins. And as the germination comes up, the first flush comes around, let's say, another between 30 days or so of the sowing. So the window available to you is just about those 10 days, let's say between 27, 28 days of sowing till about 40 days of sowing, if I may expand that a little bit more. If you control the weeds during that time, you are able to get an effective control. If you miss that window, then the weeds become hardier and they becomes more difficult to control. Similar is the case if you take any, for that matter, any insecticide. For example, if you take stem borer, early shoot borer in the sugarcane crop, it has a window. It has a fixed window within which it appears, and if you don't control it within those 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, then it kind of gets into the system, and after that it becomes very difficult to control. Take for that matter soybean. In the soybean, the sowing is dependent really because large area of is rain-fed. So in a rain-fed crop, you have to make sure that the application is so much linked to monsoon. So the moment there is a shower of rain shower, that is when the farmers want to sow the seed. And as they want to sow the seed, so if it is pre-emergent or pre-sowing seed, they have to apply well before the, I mean, either simultaneous to the sowing operation or little later pre-emergent, or if it is post-emergent, then it goes to a separate window. So what I'm trying to tell you is that agrochemical application windows being very narrow and defined, the entire supply chain has to be aligned to meet those windows which are available. This is what makes it rather tricky. So if you look at the stock buildup in the area of working capital consumption of most or working capital use of most of the companies, you will find that there are very clear two ups and two downs. Okay, two hills you will see and two troughs. The hills when you are building up the inventory, and then troughs when the season comes, the inventories get liquidated. So every company has to maintain sufficient amount of stock, and the stocks could be built up for as high as about 120 days to 160 days. That much stock you have to build up, and then feed that stock from wherever your factories are into all over the country, wherever your target markets are. Now, in order to do that, you have to then go back and say, okay, for example, every agrochemical, as you are aware, every agrochemical formulation comprises of the active ingredient and the adjuvants. So your active ingredient has to be available way before you plan for building up that 120, days inventory. And if it is local active ingredient, then you possibly have a better leverage. But if it is an imported active ingredient, like in case of most of the multinationals, the time lag becomes still longer, and the unpredictability around timeline becomes still sharper. Now, consider a situation which is happening today, or which happened about a year back, year and a half back in China, where due to COVID and other situations, the supply chains there got disrupted, the production there got disrupted. Now, the implication of that is straight away to the farmer here, because then the material availability will not hit the window at which you require the product to be at the ports here, and from the ports to your factories, and from your factories to formulation, and then further down the line. So in the supply chain of agrochemicals, it's a rather tricky business. Okay, because you build up large scale inventories without being very sure how the monsoon is going to play. So you will find that most of the organizations either they run short of the product, or they run excess of the product. Every time the product is excess, because the shelf life of the product is itself is limited. So if a window is not used, the product goes on to an expiry mode. So that's the next implication of the entire thing. Thereby, it makes it rather interesting area for supply chain of agrochemicals to be managed. It becomes very, because you do not know how the season is going to play, how the monsoon is going to come. And so in an unpredictable monsoon scenario, because you are already procuring the material almost like 6 months, 5 to 6 months ahead of time of the monsoon. So you're largely depending, relying on the forecast that comes from your field. And the field forecasts normally are made in a fashion that they accommodate for uh, the dealer wise sales projection that your field staff has worked out, depending on the crops that they choose to target. Procuring doing the right kind of a forecast discussion with the channel network, the likelihood that your forecast will go wrong are very, very high. And if expired products will have to be destroyed. Destroying them, it's an art by itself. It's art and science by itself. So uh, what I'm trying to say is that it's a very complex science, this whole thing, and an art. It's a combination of science and art. So while you use a lot of data, but you use a lot of hunch also to say, okay, what kind of overages I should have over the projection, or what kind of uh, fine tuning I should do with the projections that come through, right? So uh, when we talk about the new supply chain systems, in the new supply chain systems, I think, as you all must be aware, uh, you can either import the active ingredients, or you can even import the finished formulation. When you import the finished formulation, there are obviously regulations around it. Under this section, they can be imported under section 9 bracket 3 or 9 bracket 4, depending on what is the regulatory status of that particular molecule. These molecules then, these formulated products are then taken straight to the factory where they are packed and they are made available to the market. Okay, so this is the other part. What is very crucial in this entire supply chain is the ability to be able to deliver your product on time and in full. And simultaneously, it becomes even more crucial for the demand generation team to make sure that the demand is generated, which is more coinciding with the stock level availability at your depots. So typically, all the companies keep large number of depots so that these inventories are kept closer to the selling points. The retailer, so typically in an agrochemical company, the distribution chain is like, you have the company, you have the company manufacturing setup, then you have the central warehouse or a warehouse, then you have the wholesaler or a distributor, if you may call that, then you have a retailer, and then the farmer takes it away from them. So these companies, depending on their own preparedness and depending upon their own readiness and flexibility, maintain different levels of different layers of these channels, right? For example, a company which has very high level of field level demand generation activity, they maintain fewer layers because they know that their demand generation will kick in, so the dealers only have to stock. There are other cases where the products do not have very high traction with the farmers. There, what happens is that the dealers become a very critical element. So dealers' prescription to the farmer becomes very critical for the liquidation of the particular product. What is seen in the countries today is that there's a survey done which said that 80% of the farmers are influenced by the channel, the advisory from the channel. What is the channel saying determines what is it that they're going to buy. Okay, so they are influencer, they are big time influencer. So this is crucial. Along with this entire thing, there are two models that the companies have started following. Earlier, there was a model that company would produce everything in its own factory. Now there are other angles have come in, something like contract manufacturing or loan licensing system. Gujarat allows your license to be leased out. So you can put a lease of your own license on somebody else's factory. So that person would produce the product, but it'll show as manufactured by you, right? Similarly, there are others where in case they manufacture, but it shows manufactured by them and marketed by you, right? So of late, brands which have very high traction have started. And for example, I'll give you an example of granulated insecticide, something like either car tap or uh, chlorantraniliprol or something like this, there it's a huge bulk that moves, huge bulk, right? It runs in thousands of tons. So one factory will not be able to meet all the requirement, and the logistics would be a trying thing. So what the companies have started doing now is they are opening up multiple uh, contract manufacturing sites which are regional in nature. For example, if I am a manufacturer sitting in Gujarat, and if I have my market for granulated product is sitting in, let's say, north of India, I would have my manufacturing uh, or a contracting, if I may, contract production shifted to North India, where I will be supplying all the raw materials, everything, but there would be this formulator which will do the formulation for me, and the product I will be then after formulation the product is handed over to me, and then I'm able to follow my marketing strategy as I have been doing, right? So while you have multiple options models available here. One is a single company, single manufacturing unit. Second is single company, multiple manufacturing units. And then of the multiple manufacturing unit, then you have to handle those products, then you have multiple uh, go down systems or warehousing systems, which are developed accordingly. Uh, there are companies, again, they follow different models. In, for example, FMC follows a model of a super distributor. We call it SD model. So super distributor is the one who gets the first time supply. Then he bills. When he bills, that is considered as a first sale by the company. Okay, so that's a super distributor. But the stocks are made available close to the farmers by the super distributor through their channel, right? So there are multiple channels that come into picture. So when we talk about innovation, the latest innovation that is being talked about is how do you rationalize the warehousing? Okay, I guess this is a very important part of the supply chain because in products which are, for example, granulated products, which are low value products, there the transportation cost or the handling and transportation cost of the product itself could turn out to be pretty steep. For example, for a 40 rupees a kg product, the transportation and the handling charges itself may turn out to be 2 to 3 rupees, which is a massive spend. So the companies have now started doing various data analysis. So there are a lot of data which is collected, and then the data is uh, analyzed in a fashion as to minimize the handling of the product and minimize the wastage or retransportation of the product. Uh, Another challenge that this industry faces is that, while you, for example, rice, you can grow rice in north of India, let's say starting May, June, July, August, around that time, but you only have one crop of rice in the north. So whatever is left over, what you could not sell in north, if you have a channel down south, you shift that to the south. So as you take it to south, then you are incurring all the more the transportation back again, which leads to a lot of product spoilage, packaging disturbance, packaging breakages, etc., etc. So those are important elements that come into picture. What is also critical is to rationalize your own cost, because most of the companies which are operating in the generic pesticide segment. People who are having proprietary molecules or proprietary formulations, while they have better bandwidth to adjust or to accommodate higher, if I may call it, T&D costs, transportation and distribution costs, handling costs. But people who are dealing in generics, which most of the companies are, have no very little flexibility there. So let me just come to this, that what is also crucial is that quality of what you are buying becomes paramount. So in the entire supply chain, one of the innovative stuff that people have started taking up is a concept called quality assurance concept. So quality control was one concept. Now quality assurance is another concept wherein they start approving the vendors basis their quality analysis. So there is a quality assurance team that goes and validates that a particular supplier is worth relying upon for supplying X quality. Because in the season, if the quality supplied is not good, then you can assume that your sales period is as good as gone and finished. And of course, there will be large number of complaints, even if you formulated your product with those active ingredients and sent it to the market, where the product is not performing well. So the product will flow back along with that. Your reputation gets damaged, your financial costs build up, etc. So quality assurance is another element that has now become an integral part of the entire supply chain. Other important element is the float or the working capital that gets involved. I think mm, considering a high working capital cost, it becomes very, very crucial for the organizations to maintain a particular working capital management system. In the working capital, as you are all aware, there are two elements coming into picture. One element is clearly the inventories that you have, either in the form of raw material or work in progress or finished goods, or you have as a debtor. That means you have billed it, but you have not recovered the money. So typically, the organizations run from 120 days to up to 200, 250 days of working capital that they maintain. Now, this is where the role of finance comes into picture. How are they able to effectively tie up a low cost financing for the entire agrochemical business? This is again a very crucial element. Companies which have very efficient supply chain ensure that they have very good banking tie-ups as well, wherein they are able to source better. For example, the latest, the more innovative is that companies which are ESG linked, for example, the sustainability enhanced companies are able to negotiate better interest rates with the bankers. Now, these better rates, which are negotiated, then are getting leveraged by the company to minimize the entire working capital cost, thereby making the company more profitable and more sustainable, right? So this is another element of innovation that goes into the larger agrochemical space. Normally, companies maintain large portfolio of products. For example, a company like ours has more than 50 products. Now, each product has, let's say, about 5 or 6 SKUs. So you can imagine that at any given point in time, if you have 50 products and 5 SKUs, you are handling something like 250 SKUs at any given point in time, right? And it's very crucial that you keep a full track of which market you are addressing. For example, the same product may be available, but the packing may be not suitable. For example, if you're selling in the vegetable area where the land holdings are smaller, you need smaller packings. But if you sell on field crops or for that matter cotton, where the land holdings are larger, there the pack size, a larger pack size is done. So it's equally important that you are able to rationalize what pack sizes you should be putting into the market and how you should maintain it. The quality of the packing material is equally important, because if the quality is not proper, it leads to a lot of leakages, a lot of damages, and ultimately the company loses a lot. So let me stop here and see if you are able to get a bit of a flavor of this industry. If you are, please let me know. But rest of the thing that you think you would want to know more, you can ask by way of questions. Okay. Team, hello. Agri Info team. Hello, I think the host is muted, if I'm not wrong. Okay, I just pinged to the host. Okay, are there questions that you people want to ask? Can you put them on the chat box? If there are specific questions, then I can start answering them from the chat box itself. Hello?
Hello.
Are there questions for me on the
Hello.
topic? Yeah, are there questions
Um,
that candidates would like to ask? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear you now. Yeah.
okay, thank you. So I just thought I'll just stop here and wait for asking if there are questions where people may want to know more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, are there any other points you wish to add? Then finally, we'll take up the questions.
I think largely I'm done.
Okay.
So we can, in a summary, I have told you that supply chain in agrochemicals area is a complex business because of the uncertainty of monsoon, the cropping patterns, etc., etc. So this is way different compared to the rest of the FMCG products. Crucial in this are definitely cost, quality, and timely delivery. Because of the application windows are short, so the entire supply chain has to be geared to meet a marketing plan, and a marketing plan has to be very precise. The forecasting has to be right, so that it can then be built up into the procurement plan, the manufacturing plan, and the supply plan. All of that. What is also crucial is the cost of capital, because a large amount of working capital gets consumed in the agrochemicals area. Cutting costs on the working capital is a short way of becoming more profitable, right? And uh, this is a pure teamwork, because if you don't get the right forecast, you are not making a right procurement plan. If you don't have a right procurement plan, your manufacturing plan will go wrong, and your supply plan will absolutely go wrong, right? So that's very crucial. So this is where people are using multiple innovations, in the sense there are a lot of data crunching happening. People are also trying to use artificial intelligence to see if they can make a head and tail, or make an algorithm which kind of averages out various monsoon conditions across various geographies. So large amount of database is being collected, but has this been put into use right now? Not much, but that is the direction which the entire industry is taking. Okay, so let me stop here and see if there are any questions.
Okay. Yeah. So, thank you for the detailed talk. And I'll take up the questions.
Yeah.
So, the first question is from Mr. Mohan Rao. Are you are your company depending upon cold storages to store your products, Mr. Raju Kapoor ji?
No. So I mean, our products are not thermosensitive, so we don't need the cold storages, but we need good quality storage systems, good quality warehousing, which have enough ventilation, which have the right. I mean, these being poisonous products, you can understand, they need to be stocked and stacked in a particular manner. So a stack height cannot go beyond a particular level, and the stocks have to be placed on a stack. So I mean, it's a scientific warehousing. But no, to your questions, no warehousing is used.
Okay.
But in case of seeds, of course, some of the people have to use cold storage because seeds are live organisms, so they require cold storage as well. Many seeds.
Okay. So next question again from Mr. Mohan. Can you please
Mhm.
let me know the agrochemical produced through corn waste?
Corn waste.
Yes.
Sorry, is it corn waste? No, I can't think of any agrochemical produced with corn waste. Uh, from the corn, of course, when you take the corn cob and when you grind it, some of that material that you get out, it is used for. It's a very highly absorbing material. It is normally used for uh, you know absorbing vitamins like choline chloride or niacinamide, mostly choline chloride. So that's where the use in the agriculture area for agri waste from corn is. Apart from, of course, converting that into alcohol through some cellulosic process.
Okay.
No pesticide is prepared out of corn waste, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. So next question is, in all the challenges, the once yeah, sorry, not challenges, in all the changes that are taking place, agrochemical supply chain management, do you see new opportunities for agro entrepreneurs?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think this entire supply chain is being disrupted by a lot of new startups. So if you see, there are startups which are uh, uh, there are actually a few of them which are now getting into uh, demand generation. Some of them are getting into demand fulfillment. So definite disruption is happening there, and I would expect more and more disruption will happen as we move forward in the entire supply chain, right from the word where you have to source the material till fulfilling the demand generated by a field force with the farmers. So yes, large number of disruptions are already happening. I expect them to pick up speed and they will become major ones, major disruptions.
Okay. Next question is, what opportunities do you see for your agriculture graduates? Sorry, do you see for young agriculture graduates wanting to join a corporate career? And what advice will you like to give them?
Okay, that's a good question, but a broad question. So depending on in the corporate, I think there are large opportunities, at least in the agriculture inputs. There are large number of opportunities building up because this market is growing at a very decent pace. So there is a continuous absorption of fresh blood, if you may call it that way. So uh, you have to first take a call on what area do you want to be employed into. Do you want to be in sales, marketing, regulatory, R&D? You want to be in supply chain? You want to be in so obviously there are a large number of opportunities available. Depending on where do you want to be, you have to plan accordingly. Now, in this case, as we uh, as the question is, my recommendation to all of you would be to carefully track. I would personally believe there is a lot of disruption happening in the area of demand generation and demand fulfillment. So those are one area where the startups are very aggressive. So those are one definite opportunity available. Second opportunity will be available, which is in direct recruitment with their companies. But large number of multinationals have slowed down direct hiring, so they hire indirectly in the sense that they hire through aggregators. So look out for opportunities with the aggregators. And these aggregators hire large number of people, train them, groom them, and then they are being offered to multinationals and other companies for uh, doing specific purposes, for example, demand generation or demand fulfillment. Okay, this is how this whole thing is working out.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be just be on the lookout for first study where do you want to be in, and then gain, for example, agriculture information. You got so much of knowledge here today, so just keep listening to this, keep absorbing this knowledge, and with this knowledge, when you go, you will possibly be a differentiated product in the eyes of the company. So you will possibly stand a better chance of getting recruited compared to those who do not go to the finishing schools. So I call it a finishing school. So you should sharpen your skills. Your academic education will not help you get a job. It will only give you a base. On that base, you need to build up some additional skills, some differentiation, which will make you more employable, if I may call it. Okay.
Okay. Next question. Mr. Mohan wants to know, can you please let us know international exhibition in near future, sir?
International.
International exhibition,
There are
expo.
a large number of exhibitions keep happening throughout the year. As a matter of fact, mm, uh, okay, good question. We had the India Chem recently, organized by FICCI and Department of Chemicals. So that was a big one where all of us came together to discuss. Then every state is hosting Kisan Melas. In the Kisan Melas, almost every company puts up a stall, mixed representation, makes a presentation about the organization, its products, etc. So I think throughout the year there are Kisan Melas taking place. There's one that is coming up in Pusa. I think it's already coming up or is happening very close to it. So that's another happening. So all the agricultural universities definitely hold these kind of melas. The state governments hold these melas. Then the associations, whether it be FICCI or CII Agrotech just got over about a month back. Uh, so similarly, there are a large number of events that keep taking place throughout the year.
Okay. And he is asking, in which and which is one of the best and biggest in the globe, and I am interested to be an entrepreneur in agrochemical industry. I'm very much interested to be an entrepreneur. Okay, same thing is. So he wants to know about which is the biggest and best expo in the
So
globe, on the globe.
okay, that's a good one. Uh, See, ever since China has emerged as a major player, but in the Brighton conference in the UK, that's one that used to be one of the largest, but COVID seemed to have disrupted everything. So we have to wait and see whether they will come up again. But yeah, I mean, it was in the southern UK, a place called Brighton. So that's the BCPC is called Crop Protection Conference. That was the largest earlier.
Okay. And now we have the last question. To
Thank
former
you.
audiences listening, what would you like to convey as the main points of your talk?
For the farmers,
Yes.
no,
Former audiences.
yeah, I would only urge you to be very vigilant about what you buy. Okay, so and from where you buy and how you buy. Uh, See, as a farmer, your uh, uh, what what should I say? Your main business is not to kill pests. Your main business is to grow more crops and sell them efficiently, right? So you should only be more scientific in your approach towards managing pests, where you don't need to kill all the pests in the field. First of all, you need to track, monitor your field. If you are going to your field on a daily basis, and if you are careful, the field will tell you when does it need what. For example, if pest control has to happen, I would recommend people to start using innovative techniques like visiting the field uh, and also use products like pheromones, etc., to track the activity of various pests. So the moment you feel that the pest level is going above economic threshold level, that is the level where you should be intervening, where you should be making the intervention. Otherwise, I don't think. I think you should simply sit tight and keep absorbing what is happening with the pest buildup. Keep a register with somebody who is able to do pest forecasting. It will be a good investment, in my opinion, because if you are able to know your area specific pest buildup diagnostics, you can minimize on the use of chemicals or further interventions, external interventions significantly. So for me, subscribe to the knowledge bases, which give you area specific, spot specific forecasting, and use that forecasting to use specific inputs that are required by you. These inputs must be very, very specific to you, to your crop situation. Okay. So this is what I would recommend.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Raju, I don't see any more questions from our participants. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank you for the detailed talk and answering all the questions in detail. And we also like to thank all the participants for joining this meeting. The meeting will now be closed. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for having me, and good luck to everybody who attended it. In case there are still questions that you want to ask, please come to the organizers of this meeting, and I'll be very happy to answer.
Sure. I've shared your email address with our participants.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.